Last lap drama in the IRL. A show of strength by the 20. Race Week adds Rowdy.com to its lineup. This week on Race Week.
Race Week is brought to you by the Texas Motor Speedway.
Michigan International Speedway opened in 1968 as a 2-mile D-shaped oval with a capacity of just over 25,000 seats. Roger Penske bought the superspeedway in 1972 and set out to expand the seating capacity, reaching 125,000 seats over the years of his ownership. He sold the track to ISC in 1999. The grandstand area was upgraded and luxury seats were added, giving the track its current configuration. If you want to win at Michigan, you have to have speed, as the track boasts blistering qualifying runs in the 190-mile-per-hour range with its sweeping 18-degree corners and long straightaways. Ryan Newman holds a qualifying record with a lap just over 193 miles per hour. Kyle Busch was the last winner at Michigan, and Toyotas have won 4 of the last 5 races at the facility. Mark Martin is a current win leader with 5 career wins at the track. 7 other current drivers have 2 wins here, but Jimmy Johnson, the 5-time Cup champion, is not one of those, as he does not have a single career win at Michigan. The Izod IndyCar Series heads to the Milwaukee Mile, a 1.015-mile-long oval racetrack located on the grounds of the Wisconsin State Fair in West Allis, Wisconsin. It's the oldest operated motor speedway in the world, hosting at least one auto race every year since 1903, except during U.S. involvement in World War II. At one time or another, all racing series have run at the track, with the IRL making its series debut in 2004. Dario Franchitti won that race and just happens to be the most recent winner at the track with his victory last June.
To help you out with your fantasy picks this week. Remember to log on to the Race Week Facebook page, get your fantasy picks in, because we've got a brand new winner every week. At the end of the season, someone is going to win a brand new car, and that could be you. All right, typically Michigan has been known as the House of Roush. That's why in group number 1, I'm going all the way to the top of the list. The man who is at the top of the point standings, Matt Kenseth. He has run very well here recently, and he runs very well at Michigan. Over to group number 2, I'm going with the guy who is racing at his home track. Brad Keselowski is a Michigan native. He finished 2nd at the track back in July. I think Brad Keselowski is your guy at Michigan this week. On to group number 3, Kasey Kahne. He just jumps out at me for some reason. There's some other good drivers in here too, like Eric Almirola, who is in one of those Roush Yates Ford cars. He might be another good pick, but I'm going with Kasey Kahne. Group number 4, I'm going to take a 2-time Michigan winner. That's Jeff Gordon. Again, his season is going to turn around on in a big way at some point. I could see him actually going to victory lane this weekend. On to group number 5. AJ Allmendinger has been very solid. I already took his Penske Racing teammate Brad Keselowski. Why not take AJ Allmendinger as well? I think he's probably the best pick out of this group. And on to the final one, group number 6, David Reutimann. I'm going with that number 10 car once again this week. David Reutimann should be the one getting it done in this group. That's my fantasy team. You can go with what I got, or you can go on your own. Either way, make sure you log on to the Race Week Facebook page. Get your picks in, because we've got a new winner every week, and at the end of the season, someone's going to win a brand new car, and that could be you.
The Thompson Group at Classic Chevy has more than 2,000 Chevys in stock, including 100 cargo vans ready for work. We have many selections and financing options available for you, all in a relaxed family environment. The Thompson Group at Classic Chevrolet. Relax and enjoy the difference.
I lost 37 pounds.
53 pounds.
Hydroxycut helped me lose 32 pounds.
Hydroxycut is America's #1 selling weight loss supplement brand and now has an all-new look.
I'm Sharon from San Francisco, and I lost 35 pounds. Thanks, Hydroxycut.
I highly recommend Hydroxycut. The key ingredients are clinically proven to help people lose more weight.
I'm Claire from Boston, and I lost 31 pounds. Hydroxycut really works.
Get the new Hydroxycut bonus size and Hydroxycut drink mix today.
Need maintenance on your car? Then go to the service section at www.ClassicChevyTexas.com and print your way to big savings on your oil and filter change, tire rotation, and much, much more. Classic Chevrolet. Relax and enjoy the difference. Want to win a new car? Log on to Facebook.com/RaceWeekOnline to play RaceWeek's fantasy racing game, and you'll get that chance. You don't have to know anything about racing to play, but if you want to know more, check out Fantasy Forecast every week on RaceWeek. The game is free to play and features prizes that, frankly, are going to kick. Visit Facebook.com/RaceWeekOnline starting Monday, February 20th for all the details.
Thanks a lot. I'm Stephen Levine. This is Tom Vandervoort. We're from Rowdy on Sporting News, and each week we're going to be here on Race Week with the Rowdy Big Three, taking a look at the 3 biggest issues in NASCAR. Tom, let's jump right into it. Joey Logano, a convincing victory last weekend at Pocono. Was it enough to secure his future behind the wheel of the 20 car?
I think he's going to have to do more, but things have changed so much for Joey Logano in the last couple of weeks. When you think about where he was and now where he's going, that's his 3rd top 10 in the last 4 races. And think about the symbolism in this particular race, right? It happened at Pocono, which was the same track at which Joey uttered the famous Delana Harvick wears the fire suit in that family comment. Well, this week he did the talking with his race car, and that's pretty interesting. The other thing is he beat Mark Martin, and Mark Martin was the guy who years ago when Joey was 15 years old said this dude is the real deal. So now he comes out and beats Mark Martin in a way that Mark didn't especially appreciate in that race. So I think there's a lot of symbolism here. And the other thing is Kurt Busch was one of those guys rumored to be taking Joey's ride. Now he's a persona non grata. Joey just looks a lot better, and I think Michigan's a pretty decent track for him, so we'll see what he does this week.
And what you said about the 3 top 10s in the past 4 races, to me, that's even more significant than the win, because I think what he's going to have to show over the long haul is consistency, right? Wins will come, but let's see some consistency out of Joey. The fact that the win did come means that the wild card chase berth is now a lot murkier than it was previously. You have Joey Logano in 14th, Ryan Newman in 15th, Casey Kane in 16th, all with a single win. Behind them in 17th, Marcus Ambrose, pretty good bet. He's going to be in the mix for a victory at one of the 2 road courses, if not both. So those 4 guys, coupled with Brad Keselowski and his 2 wins breaking into the top 10, those 4 guys have to do something to separate themselves from one another, and a second win is what is necessary, and I think will be enough to secure a chase berth.
2 wins and the top 20, I think you've got a good chance to be in the chase. But it does depend a little bit on, does Brad Keselowski stay in the top 10 or drop out? What happens with a guy like Jeff Gordon? You know, Jeff Gordon has not been slow these last couple of weeks. He could easily pick up a win or even 2. And the road courses, that's also Jeff Gordon's bread and butter. So Jeff Gordon is out there lurking as well. I think 2 wins gets you in. But the other thing to remember is, if you're in that top 20 with a win, and 1 win is enough, you still have to finish ahead of the other guys with 1 win. So that means you can't be completely crazy with risk. You've got to be somewhat smart about when and how you take some risks out there.
Right.
Because you don't want to drop to the tail end of the top 20 with your 1 win, because then you're definitely not going to make it.
And the risk, I think, will increase as we get closer to Richmond. In my opinion, Jeff Gordon's too far out. We should also mention Kyle Busch is out of the top 10, but I think that's a temporary condition on his part. Now, this weekend, we travel to Michigan. It's the 2nd weekend in a row we've gone to a racetrack with a new racing surface on top. It's going to be fast. We're going to see new speed records. I'm sure the qualifying record will fall. Will we see that racing groove widen out throughout the course of the weekend?
I mean, I think that's the big question. You're talking about 2 things here. You're talking about tremendous speeds. You know, if you were getting down at Pocono, it was 210, 211, 212, getting into turn 1. I mean, Michigan is a track that was known for that kind of speed already. Now you put new pavement on there. Are we talking about 215 miles an hour getting down into turn 1 after you come off the long curving front stretch? Very, very possibly. So what does speed mean? It means aerodynamics even more important. And then you couple that with the fact that Michigan has always been a track known for a very wide racing groove. Put your car on the bottom, all the way to the top, anywhere in between. Drivers have always said that about Michigan. Will that be the case at all throughout this race? Because if it's not, and you're talking about these increased speeds, you're talking about a track position race, an aerodynamic race, and it's going to be tough for guys to pass out there. So I think the big question is, does the racing groove get wider?
Yeah. I think the other thing people are going to be looking at and watching this weekend at Michigan is Kurt Busch's return to NASCAR Sprint Cup racing. Remember, he served a 1-race suspension because of an altercation with Sporting News' Bob Pockrass. James Finch, the owner of Phoenix Racing, came out earlier this week and said, we're sticking with Kurt, we're going racing together, and we are going to look for a sponsor together. That's the rub right there, because Kurt Busch is not sponsor-friendly right now. Remember, even in the off-season, Richard Petty Motorsports talked to him, and their sponsor said, we're not so sure about Kurt Busch. Well, so his future depends on the ability for him to attract a sponsor, for him to represent a sponsor.
Well, this is his, what, 3rd or 4th redemption tour that we're starting this weekend? And at some point, he's going to have to show that he can handle the ups and downs, the vagaries of racing. Everyone's got to deal with that stuff. He's not the only guy that's been unfairly treated, at least in his mind, and dealt with some unfortunate circumstances. So he's got to overcome that. His talent has given him yet another chance. I'm not sure there's much beyond this, though.
All right, for Tom Vandervoort, I'm Stephen Levine. You can find us at Sporting News, and we'll be back on Race Week every week with a look at the rowdy Big Three.
Jesse, let's talk about our engine belts. What's the importance of our engine belts?
Well, our belts are what actually spin all our pulleys, water pump, timing belts. The crankshaft spins all these belts and pulleys to keep the vehicle running. It spins the alternator to maintain the charging system. It spins the water pump to pump the water throughout the whole engine block and radiator. It also spins all different kinds of other components that maintain our electrical system and mechanical system.
So our belts are critical to the performance of our engine, because if we lose a belt, we lose power steering, we lose coolant circulating through the engine.
We can tell really quick with just a quick little visual inspection on the belts. They use a system called Poly-V, or also called serpentine belts, which they snake their way around all the pulleys. The most common mistake is where people remove them and didn't record the belt routing to put it back on. When you have the belt removed, one thing you want to look for is any kind of hairline cracks on any of these ribs. Those could be a firm indicator, or actually missing pieces of the belt or frays that are going around the sides are things you may want to look for too, or misalignment.
Well, Jesse, how long should a belt last on our engine?
They run anywhere from 30 to 60, 90K. They last pretty good nowadays.
So Jesse, if we're driving down the road, what indications would our belts give us that we might have a belt that's going to fail?
Okay, you may have a squeaking noise or a noise at idle, or when you take off at a low RPM, maybe hear a little screaming or squeaking under the hood. Probably a good indicator that we need to check the belt system out.
Goes back to something making noise.
That's right, making a noise. That's why they actually switched from the V-belt system to the serpentine or poly V-belt system, because of that reason, to make less noise.
Well, Jesse, thank you.
No problem.
Race Week is sponsored by Universal Technical Institute, conveniently located off I-635 in Irving, Texas. For more info, visit uti.edu.